And a good Sunday afternoon here in Centerayak, Nunavut, otherwise known as Hall Beach, with Japanese Irish Highlander. Now, one of the other videos I'm sure that my people down south wanted to ask me about is food costs. And let's just talk about the white elephant in the room. No matter what you're going to do, it's going to be expensive. The reason why? The only way that stuff comes in or out of these communities is by air, so there's no way around it. You're going to have to help pay for the shipping costs. However, there is some good news. The federal government up here, to help make sure that everyone has healthy food to eat, will give a subsidy on some of the food you buy. The healthier the food you buy, the less it's going to be, perhaps. All right, now, just to show you. This is what I bought today. This is the list. I'm going to go through the list and tell everyone how much it was. And if anyone watches this video, there's still supplies up at the store. I didn't buy them out or anything, but some of the stuff here you don't see very often. And some of the other stuff you see here, it is there and it's in bulk. Sometimes it's going to be better for you. The thing that I get happy with is the fact that you can buy large bags of frozen vegetables, such as this. They go to a Costco. I mean, this is Kirkland Costco brand, and this is their Normandy style bag of veg, which is 2.5 kilograms or 5 pounds. That cost me a total of $18. And there was a subsidy on top of that, which was $20.30. So in other words, half of the cost was actually paid by the subsidy that the government puts in. So that's 18 right there. Okay, the next item that I bought in the other bag, it's 2 bags that I got, is canola oil, 3 liters. Now, these bottles I buy because they last me a while. This is only the 3rd bottle of oil that I've had to buy since I came up, because the only thing I use this for is pan frying anything. I don't use butter, I use oil. Now, I was talking with the health clinic and they said if you could get olive oil it might be better. The problem is olive oil is a lot more expensive, there's a lot less of it, so I'm still going to wing it with that. A bottle of this for what goes on the canola oil is $18.89, so it's just under $19 for this 3-liter bottle, and there's a subsidy tacked on of $20. So it's rather interesting. So I have frozen veg and oil. Now, as well, one of the biggest problems that we do have up here is trying to make sure that you have fruits and vegetables to try to keep your vitamin level up. A lot of times what we do is sometimes families will get juice. This juice here was 50% off because the due date of it was February the 8th. Today is March the 19th, so it's a little past. So 50% off. It's still drinkable. It's still, healthy for people to use. This jug of juice that I'm looking at right now, which is a 1.75 liter, is $11.49, so it's about just under $11.50. But I had a 50% discount because it was expired, which meant that I only had to pay $5.75 for it, which meant there was also a subsidy of $11.64. So these subsidies are basically paying half of what you'd usually be buying. So carton of juice, I'll probably drink that between today and tomorrow to make sure it's still good. Driscoll's fresh strawberries, first time that I've seen these really ones. Now, when I'm down south, I usually like to buy local, meaning I'm going to buy stuff from Nova Scotia. Why? Because I trust Nova Scotia farmers. However, sometimes where you are, you have to go with what you get. These, I believe, they're a product out of the States. I believe they're probably grown in California or whatever, but they're pretty big strawberries. They're going to be part of my breakfast this week. Why not? I mean, good stuff. The other thing that I don't get very often, and I'm really happy to see when we do get them, is fresh mushrooms. And I just basically fry these in oil and make sure that I don't add anything else because I want the potassium level in them. And these, okay, taking a look at what our strawberries were, it came up as $10 with a $3.94 subsidy, and the mushrooms, you got $1.65 because they were only $5.39 to begin with. So I mean, this is probably one of the cheapest things I was actually able to get at the store, which makes me quite happy because I love fresh mushrooms, stir fried. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm thinking on doing some baked chicken, some shake and bake chicken with some baked potatoes, and I'm going to have mushrooms and broccoli on the side because I'm trying to get as healthy as I can. The other thing that we were actually quite happy to get were mandarin oranges, which these ones are actually a product of Morocco. So those lovely North African farmers who have their orange orchards on the North African coast, quite nice. These were coming up, taking a look here. The price of mandarin oranges was $10.99 with a subsidy of $6.94. So it's just under $11 for basically a 2-pound bag of mandarin oranges. So I guess I'm going to be eating these for breakfast for a couple of days. The other thing, when it comes to fresh fruit that I always like to get are blueberries. And like I said, I like getting blueberries from home. I'll get frozen ones when I'm in Nova Scotia when I can, because if they're from Oxford, Nova Scotia, I know where they're being grown, I know the area, I know how they're doing it, it's fine. But you get what you can. These are a product of Peru, imported out of the States. But they are fresh, they're a little bigger than the ones we have at home, but hey, you get what you can take. These ones here, fresh blueberries, are $7.99, so just under $8 with a subsidy of $1.58. So another healthy thing. And the last bit of actual food I got was a bunch of bananas, which if my mom was still with us, she would be laughing because I hated bananas as a kid. Because I was basically force-fed them to make sure I get enough potassium. But got to make sure my potassium level is staying high. I've had to get medications for that. So, bunch of bananas. These came in. This is the second bunch I've actually bought this week. I still have them in the house, but I decided to get a bunch more. These bunch of bananas, taking a look here, they were $1.58 per kilogram. Basically came up to, what was it? It says here it was basically $7.88 for this bunch of bananas. I believe they just came under, it said that it was $4.99 a kilo, and we had a subsidy of $11.81, so almost $12. The last thing that I picked up today, which is a non-food item, were Q-tips, and I could only get a small bunch of these, but they still had a bunch of these, so I'll be able to go get more. Q-tips are $5.69 for 30. Okay, now that's where you're showing there is no subsidy on it, because this is classified as a health beauty item. It's not something that is essential to your survival, but it's kind of like one of those nice things that you want to have maybe once in a while to, even though they tell you don't put them in your ears, I still use them as ear cleaners because they're, really nice. Total of all this stuff that I have on my table. All right, so we have the frozen vegetables, we got the mandarin oranges, got the blueberries, the mushrooms, the strawberries, the oil, the juice, and the bananas. Total cost, $90.83. All right, now, not one of these things on this table is junk food. It's all healthy. So I don't know, with the rate of inflation back home, back down in Nova Scotia, throughout the rest of the country, a lot of people it's biting. And no matter where you are, it's expensive to get food right now. So if this is the government's way of making people lose weight through the fact that it's expensive to buy food, okay, maybe that is. But for me, I am not pigging out on pop or chips or any other junk food that you can get. Any of the food or meats that I get are usually fresh or frozen. Basically, I don't like getting a lot of processed stuff up here, basically because as I'm getting older, but also I like to have fresh meat. I don't like having a lot of the additives and things like that. However, if you want to treat once in a while, there is a bag of chicken nuggets I have in there. However, they are versatile. I can use them for other things, and that's going to go from there. I still have chicken wings. I had a big bag of chicken wings. Those, I checked on the price. If I had bought another bag, would have been another $60 on top of that. Chicken wings, well, they're nice, but they're sort of one of those things that you don't need to live off of chicken wings. You can live off of chicken. So, the other thing that I've been doing for meals, I'm just finishing off a Japanese curry for all my Japanese buddies out there and friends and family back home that like eating the Japanese curry. So I was able to order that up through Amazon, and I made the curry Friday night, and I basically have one meal left. So that'll either be my lunch later today, or I may save that for my lunch tomorrow. I might actually put it in a container. One of the big things that I learned from my grandparents and my mom and dad having survived, my grandparents survived the Great Depression in the 30s, and my parents were brought up, don't waste food, all right? I make sure I don't waste food. I try not to throw stuff out. I try to eat it as soon as I can. Certain things, back when I was in Nova Scotia, I'd have in my fridge and didn't eat them all, but I try to make sure that with the cost of food, I make sure that I get my value's worth, and I figure just under $91 for 2 bags of groceries. Well, that's just the way it is. But I remember going back to, being back in Nova Scotia and buying the same amount of produce and stuff like that. I probably would have gotten, for the prices down home, I probably could have gotten a second bag of vegetables. I probably could have doubled on this. I don't know. But that's just the way it is. So there's not much point in complaining about it. One of the big things that a lot of people, when I told them I was coming north, they said, oh, it's so expensive. And I got sick and tired of hearing that. All right? There's other things in the north besides it's expensive. Everybody, the white elephant in the room, we all know it's expensive. But bear in mind, the logistics of getting groceries into any remote area is still going to be expensive no matter what. And the one thing that I do have to give credit to is the stores up here are trying their best to make sure that they're not overcharging. Now, people who may, come at me with comments and stuff like that, go ahead. It's a free country, you're allowed to. But here's the thing. In this community, which is just under 1,000 people, we have 2 grocery stores to shop from. So you don't have a lot of variety. And between those 2 shops, they are trying to make sure that the community is fed properly with nutritious food, and without this government subsidy from the government of Canada, it would be a lot more expensive. The only other food option that you would have when you're up here is country food, basically what you can hunt out on the land. And that's if you can find it, because the biggest problem that I've heard from a lot of the hunters up here is the caribou are not anywhere near this town. You have to go out finding for them. So on top, if you go out and you're able to get caribou, you have to factor in the cost of your gas or your skidoo to get out there, the cost of your ammunition for your rifle, the cost of any of your equipment to keep you alive out there, the cost of any food that you had to take with you on the expedition to go out and get that food. Things, and no matter what, it costs money and it gets expensive. But the thing about country food for the Inuit, it's extremely important. It's a very big part of their culture. I've had country food. I like it. The only one I can't have is polar bear, because it was almost like I had an allergic reaction off of it. And I felt very bad because the meat was delicious. It was done wonderfully. For Inuit people, it's probably something great. For someone like me, unfortunately, high fat content in polar bear meat means that I can't eat it due to it setting off gout reactions for me. So that means when I go south this summer, I'm going to have to very much watch what I eat and be very careful, which is not a bad thing. I need to, everyone has to, as you start getting older, start watching your food. But anyway, so this is coming up to a 15-minute little video that I've put on. Just wanted to say to everybody, this is what it costs just for 2 bags of food. However, it's all healthy and nutritious. Have a good one, everyone. Hope everybody is doing well down south. Everyone doing up here. We all stay together. And eventually, the weather outside, it's a nice, beautiful, sunny day right now. But it's still in March 19th. It is still a minus 35 wind chill. Eventually, we may get below that, and when we do get below minus 20, that's when people start getting happier. Minus 20. Think about that, everyone. You have a good one, and I'll talk to you again.